Alright guys, it's a little early. I didn't think we would get a prequel to this movie this soon, but I think we officially have our prequel to Interstellar. And Interstellar just came out last year, but I mean, come on, Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, that's more than enough. Set in outer space, sci-fi movie, Interstellar's prequel. Hello. Anyway, hey there guys, what's up? What's going on? It's Autobot Mike 18 here, back with another movie review. Guys, it has been a while since I did a review in this normal surrounding. I think the last movie I reviewed in this normal, surrounding was maybe Everest or Black Mass. It was one of those two. And it's been a while, like the last two movie reviews I had to shoot elsewhere, but I found a brief moment to go and see the movie that I'm going to be reviewing in this video today, and that is The Martian. Yeah, I finally got a chance to see it. I know that the review's going to be posted a little bit later. I actually saw the movie, I think, 5 days after it came out, because the movie came out October 3rd, I want to say, in wide release, not just in IMAX. Because I think it debuted a week early, maybe in a few theaters in IMAX. I want to say it was this, or no, maybe that was Everest. Maybe I'm just completely talking out of my ass right now. I'm sorry, guys. So I did see the movie like on a Wednesday, like the Wednesday after it came out, because I just had the day off and I just managed to see it. And I didn't get to review it this past weekend. This was the weekend The Walk came out and Pan came out. And because I didn't get to go to the movies, so I just had no free time. I was insanely busy. So now it's like, it's almost a week since I've seen the film, and I'm just reviewing it now, so sorry about that, guys. But real quick, before I get into the movie, you guys like my somewhat new setup? Notice anything different? Say goodbye to the Gravity poster I had here. I now replaced that with a free Black Mass poster I got, and I also got a new Star Wars poster for The Empire Strikes Back, because why not? It's Star Wars, alright? We gotta get ready for The Force Awakens. Anyway, guys, let's talk The Martian, which is directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott, man. I think a lot of people haven't been giving him that much love of late. I think a lot of people have felt that maybe he's been losing his touch of late. I mean, he's directed so many classic films, I'd say, at this point. He's always a director that is praised for his wide variety of work. I mean, he's directed films from, like, Aliens. I'm sorry, not Aliens. Alien, the first Alien movie, which I have not seen. He directed Blade Runner, he directed Thelma and Louise, he directed Gladiator, Black Hawk Down, and he's had just such a wide, varying range of a career. And a lot of people really start to fall skeptical of his capabilities as a director after several of his recent movies, namely Prometheus, The Counselor, and Exodus: Gods and Kings. A lot of people did not care for those movies, so a lot of people were like, Ridley Scott, does he even have it in him anymore? And a lot of people feel he hasn't made a good movie since Gladiator or since Black Hawk Down, really. And now we have The Martian. The movie is actually based off a book that was written by Andy Weir, and I hope I'm saying his last name right. And I actually can confirm that I had not read the book. Of course, most of these movies that get adapted into movies, most of these books that get adapted into movies, I haven't read them. But I actually talked with a friend of mine who actually read the book and said he really enjoyed the book. And at first was very skeptical when he heard that Matt Damon was cast as the character because of the character that was portrayed in the book. He felt Matt Damon would not suit at all. But he liked the book. He has not yet seen the movie. I have seen the movie. Have not yet read the book, but I can tell you that the book has been enjoyed by at least my friend. So guys, The Martian, essentially the basic plot, if you really want to sum it up without really saying much about it, an astronaut who goes by the name of Mark Watney in this movie, he's played by Matt Damon, is left behind. It's sort of like the E.T. of this movie, but it's instead we have a human left behind on Mars instead of an alien left behind on Earth. And the only difference between Mars and Earth is that there is absolutely no life on Mars. There are no people, no nothing, just really dirt, and yeah, that's really all Matt Damon has to work with. And he has there's one space station that Matt Damon sort of cultivates and sort of makes as his own home. His character is actually a botanist who is on this mission with this other team of astronauts who had to leave him behind after a storm hit Mars, and they believed that Matt Damon's character was killed in the storm, hit by like a bunch of debris or something. and they were forced to leave him behind, or else they wouldn't have made it out of off the planet alive. Matt Damon did survive the whole incident, and now, because he's a botanist, he can somewhat figure out a way to grow potatoes and start sort of making a life for himself as he waits to sort of send out a signal or make contact with NASA to come and rescue him. And that really is the main plot behind The Martian. That's all I really want to say to really set you up to go into this movie. And I would say for myself going into The Martian, there wasn't one part of me, like when I watched the trailers, I wasn't really like, okay, this looks mind-blowing. I cannot wait to see it. It's like in my top 10 most anticipated of the year. I don't recall if it ever was. I think it was like top 15. But nothing really blew me away with the trailers. And when I did see the trailer for The Martian, I didn't, like, I know some people were like, oh, it's the prequel to Interstellar, and I know I made that joke. And that's because Matt Damon was in both movies, Jessica Chastain was in both movies. But we actually just had Interstellar, and not even 2 years before that, or not even a year before Interstellar, we had Gravity. So we really had these two other sci-fi films that were for the majority both set in space for most of their runtimes. So I really wasn't sure how I felt about getting a third film in the next 3 years. I was like, boy, we're going to get a film set in space every single year. I think around the same time we had Gravity, we had Ender's Game, which I haven't seen. But that's besides the point. So I was like, yeah, another sci-fi movie. And I'm not the biggest sci-fi fanboy out there. Like, I enjoy science fiction movies. I enjoy movies set in outer space. They're not my favorite genre, though, I would say. So that's why I guess I wasn't, like, really hyped out of my mind to go see The Martian. But I can say this much. After having seen the movie, I was pleased that I actually found time to see the movie, and I actually got a really decent, really entertaining, and somewhat really, what's the word I'm looking for? Riveting, I would say, or compelling sci-fi film. Because I think that overall, what the filmmakers were going for, what the guy who adapted the script, I know Andy Weir wrote Drew Goddard wrote the script, and I know I can't remember if he directed Cabin in the Woods or wrote the script for Cabin in the Woods with Josh Whedon. I don't remember. Not a fan of that movie, in all honesty. But Drew Goddard adapted Andy Weir's book into the script. And I gotta say, that's one of the strongest parts going for The Martian, because the script isn't only very, there are some very riveting moments in the movie. I think that the movie holds well on its own as sort of like a survival tale, and I think that overall the film was cut very well together between the sequences of Matt Damon on Mars and the sequences of NASA trying to figure out a way to either send him supplies or just find out a way to bring him back to Earth. And I felt overall the balance between that was very well. Like, I didn't feel at any one point in the movie we were spending too much time with Matt Damon, even though we really want to be with him more than NASA, the people of NASA. But then we cut back to NASA for a good amount of time, and I'm like, alright, that actually really worked very well. Like, we're giving an appropriate amount of time to each party, really. Like, we just spent, like, this 20-minute period with Matt Damon. Let's actually cut back to NASA and see how things are going with them trying to figure out how to get him home. Back to Earth. So I thought that the distribution of the two different plot points was very well executed and very well carried out overall. I felt that for the most part both storylines got equal screen time, and I was really happy with that, actually. Like, I was glad that we just weren't with Matt Damon for 85 or I'm sorry, for like 95% in this movie, and we only got like chunks of NASA. You know, I was kind of like that sort of like distribution. I thought that actually worked very well with the movie. But yeah, there's compelling moments, and there's some very riveting, I would say very exciting sequences with Matt Damon on Mars. But I also feel that the screenplay is very clever. I think it has a very strong way of presenting ideas of not only solitude, but very scientifically, I would say for the most part. Now, I don't know a whole ton about outer space and all that, so I'm not going to say, yeah, that's scientifically accurate. But from what I was watching, I'm like, alright, that looks like it would make sense. That looks like they could actually do something like that. So I bought it. I rolled with it. But I thought the movie was very clever. I thought it was executed in a very clever way, but I thought it was actually wrote in a very clever way as well, because we get a lot of humor in this whole scenario that Matt Damon's character has found himself in. And that really is prevalent through the dialogue in the movie, and I thought that's something that was really strong. And I also am going to commend the script for that. It is very humorous. And I'm not going to say like the scenario itself is humorous, because it actually kind of sucks. But Matt Damon's character is this kind of like lighthearted botanist who sort of makes sort of jokes out of his own unfortunate situation that he's found himself in, and it actually makes for some pretty entertaining scenes, in my opinion. I think Matt Damon makes some pretty solid I love his cracks on Jessica Chastain's love of ABBA music, okay? I thought that was just freaking hilarious. I thought there were some really well thought out comedic moments interwoven throughout the screenplay that I thought ended up working really well, translating very well in the movie, in the overall final product of the movie. And by far the funniest moment of this movie goes to Chiwetel Ejiofor. He had this great line where Matt Damon sort of sends his character like a message, and Chiwetel Ejiofor is like, well, what if he meant it this way? And then he like enacted it out. There was like only a couple people in the theater when I went to see it. It was like a Wednesday afternoon, so very dead audience. But we actually all cracked up at that. I thought that was incredibly funny and really out of the box smart. And that's overall the word I would use to describe the movie as a whole, not just its use of humor, but its use of scientific theories, I guess you could say. Like the idea of how to rescue a person if they were stranded. Like, I'm not saying anything like this would ever happen or anything like that, okay? I'm just saying that for the sake of this movie, for the sake that this is fiction, remember, this is science fiction. So whenever people, like, complain about something not being scientifically accurate, if it's not a documentary or if it's not nonfiction, then why are we really complaining about it? We need to always remember the suspension of disbelief, especially for a work of fiction. Okay, as long as it's not like something that's like way out there, like, oh, I could never get behind believing this about the movie or what they're trying to say to us. It's science fiction, so I really bought it for the most part. I found much excitement of Matt Damon, not only just humor in him trying to sort of maneuver or sort of survive on Mars by himself, but I found much excitement in the plans that he had, in every single, like, something that always kept my engagement in the film, and this worked really well because I think the structure of the script worked incredibly well. Matt Damon would figure out a way to solve something in the movie, and then just like it would look like things are going good. It looked like, oh, maybe NASA's getting shit together. They're gonna come rescue him, and then just everything just drops the fan. And that's honestly one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. I don't want to spoil it or say what really happened in it, but it just looked like everything was going well for Matt Damon. And then there's just like something just completely unexpected happens, and that really just made me jump out of my seat for a second, not only, but it also made me say, holy crap, Matt Damon now has to absolutely readjust to everything that just happened in this one instant that completely just came out of left field. And I just really like moments like that really just kept my engagement, because once Matt Damon would have like a problem solved, they're like, oh, he's figured this out, he knows he's going to do this, he's going to do that in order to solve this problem. Okay, then I was like, all right, if he's figured out a problem to solve, then why do I care anymore? But then something completely unexpected happens, and it sucks him back in the movie, makes him turn his brain back on, and makes him really think of a solution of what to do next. And I really like that with the movie. I thought that was a very, very strong point of this film. And that's really me praising the script, because that is overall one of the strongest high points of this movie. I haven't even gotten into the cast yet, which also I feel needs a mention, because this is one of the better ensemble cast of the year so far, I'd say. Not only do we have Matt Damon, who is incredibly likable and incredibly humorous in this role, but he's very, his character is very intelligent. Okay, he's not that kind of character who's like, I'm just going to give up and just wait for someone to come rescue me, I'm going to run out of food. No, I'm going to find a solution to solve said problems, and I'm not just going to sit here like a lump and blah, blah, blah. He's a very intelligent man, he's sarcastic, he has a few quippy lines that I thought worked very well for the most part of the movie, and I felt with his character, I felt connected to his character. I felt the solitude, because I think anyone who's ever felt solitude can sort of connect with him in a sense in this movie, and I feel you definitely can with him. I thought he carried the movie very well, and I thought that he made the movie even more likable than it was, or than it should have been, and that is definitely a strong point I got to give Matt Damon. The rest of the supporting cast, let me just go off a list, okay? Jessica Chastain is in this movie. Chiwetel Ejiofor, who, just another great actor, really solid cast. Sean Bean is in the movie. We have Mackenzie Davis from *Halt and Catch Fire*. Great to see her in another role. We have Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier. Kate Mara, who needed this movie after Fantastic. We have Michael Pena in the movie. A lot of really solid actors that make appearances here or there. I gotta look down at my notes to make sure I'm not forgetting. Kristen Wiig is in the movie. Almost forgot her. Yeah, that's it. So a lot of really well-known, talented actors in this movie, and that honestly made me really just happy, I guess, to see that the movie or the casting director's got a really solid ensemble cast. And something I also haven't talked about of late is Ridley Scott directed the movie. Again, I'll say this much. I've seen the man tackle ancient times with Gladiator, and I've seen him tackle sort of like a more modern-day war film in Black Hawk Down. I've yet to see some of his other movies. I haven't seen his 3 recent films that a lot of people have been bashing, but I can say this much. This is a very strongly directed movie. I don't know if I probably like Gladiator and Black Hawk Down a smidge more than The Martian, but I will say this much. The shots looked good. The whole utilization of the sets that they created, obviously for the movie, visual effects and all that worked really well. Matt Damon's performance soared very well under Ridley Scott's direction. All that is possible because of a good director. You know, the staging of everything, just the overall, you know, the director oversees all. And it all ties into the editing, the script, all that worked really well. Overall, when you are a director, you have to take a script and translate it to screen very well to make art, essentially. And I think Ridley Scott always, he did it with Gladiator very well, and he did it with Black Hawk Down very well, and he did it with The Martian very well. He took a very interesting screenplay that was very clever, very emotionally resonant in moments, very witty, smart, and he made it into his own movie, and I think it worked overall very well. I thought that the film was very well cut together, structure-wise. The editing was good. The pacing was really solid, in my opinion. Not one moment did I feel, this is a little bit slow, let's cut to something else, or this is running a bit slow. I thought that everything was well, evenly balanced out pretty well for the most part. The visual effects are very solid. The whole sequence when they're in the dust storm really impressed me visually with what I was looking at, because we really just have astronauts walking in suits. They have lights on their head, light caps. I love the shots with the GoPro cameras, almost like GoPro cameras, like mounted on their helmets and everything. I loved the cutting of those shots and the addition of those shots as well. It sort of gave like this POV feel that I think worked overall very well for the movie. Yeah, the visual effects, the score was really, really good. I really enjoyed the score. One of the better ones I've heard all year. Everything overall worked very well for The Martian. If I had to really complain about anything with the movie, I'd say this much. I do feel that the film had a couple plot holes. And I know I've been praising the script for basically this entire review. I did feel that the movie had a few plot holes here or there. I feel that one specific character finds out a solution to bring Matt Damon home, and I was like, well, NASA already had that idea in mind. Oh, also, Jeff Daniels is also in this movie. Almost forgot about that. And I was like, oh, Jeff Daniels had that idea, but they were just like, nah, let's just not do that, okay? And then that character brings it up and is like, no, let's do it. And then they're like, okay, let's do this to bring Matt Damon home. So I was like, why didn't they just do that in the first place, okay? And I also felt that overall, the characters of the NASA characters ultimately needed to, I guess, think of a better way to get Matt Damon home a lot earlier on. Because, again, they had that idea and they really just brushed it aside. So there were a few plot holes, a few errors I had there. I was like, why didn't they just use this sooner or think of this sooner? They're freaking NASA. Why didn't they just do that? There was a decision that Jeff Daniels' characters made to really not tell a group of people about Matt Damon's situation, I guess you could say, and I just thought that was just really poor. Overall, just a lot of poor decisions on the NASA part of the movie. But I enjoyed the cutting back and forth between the two, and I thought it worked very well, and I thought everything was well balanced in that sense. So overall, guys, The Martian is a really fun time at the movies. It is entertaining, it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's equally humorous, and I think you're overall going to enjoy it. So I'm going to give the film a solid grade of a 9.25 out of 10, or an A-. I think it's a very solid film. It's one of the better films I've seen of this fall so far, and I think you definitely should go check it out and see it if you haven't done so already. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching my review. What did you guys think of The Martian? Let me know down below in the comments, and I will hopefully see you guys in my next video. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Bye.